Hello, everybody, and happy day. So, since the dawn of humankind, long time ago, humans have either discovered or created ways to change their mental state, which seems rather ominous and rather pedestrian considering the complexity of the human brain. But today, in the year 2023, if you're feeling mentally lethargic and you want to kind of think faster, you might drink an espresso or a Red Bull or a Monster Energy or some kind of accelerated drink. If you're feeling psychic pain and you'd like just to have the world wash down your shoulders, you might drink alcohol. If you want to explore your psyche, you might imbibe in recreational drugs. If you're feeling depressed, you might take an antidepressant. If you're feeling anxious, you might take an anti-anxiety. Or if you're having trouble sleeping, you might take a sleeping pill. All of these methods have some level of efficacy, but they all come with side effects and long-term negative consequences. But now there's a better way. We call it NuCalm. Now, why would NuCalm be important, and why would we go down the path to create a technology that could help? Well, first and foremost, it appears that the human brain has challenges changing their mental state without drugs. And we can see that through our behavior. But let's take a step back and figure out how the brain is wired. What is this brain that we possess, and how is it built? And so what is the chessboard that we get to play with? Well, there are two aspects of the brain that are really important for us to understand, and most of us have very little knowledge of what these two aspects do. We have what's called the primordial reptile brain. And this aspect of our brain is in our midbrain, and it's governed by the amygdala, which is an almond-shaped piece literally in our midbrain. The evolution of this part of our brain began millions of years ago. In fact, many suspect it's been about 40 million years of neuronal circuitry. So this part of our brain, the reptile brain, managed by the amygdala, which again is an almond-shaped piece, basically governs several key aspects of our everyday life: fight, flight, or freeze, fear, stress, anxiety, depression, and worry. And I know we're all familiar with fear, stress, anxiety, depression, worry, because we feel a lot of that every day, morning, noon, and night, and sometimes in the night when we're sleeping. The autonomic nervous system is that part of the reptilian brain, and the autonomic nervous system also manages the stress versus rest response. So this part of our brain, midbrain, amygdala, dominated aspect of our brain, is about 40 million years of neuronal circuitry, and it's a perfected system. Now, it's hard for people to understand 40 million years of anything. So I would say, hey, what was your life like in January of 2020, in February of 2020, in early March of 2020? Before, in America, March 20th of 2020 was kind of the day COVID took hold. What was your life like before then? And then think about how much adaptivity, how much resilience, how much change, how much different behavioral modification that you've engaged in personally and the people around you in just the last 3 years. Think about how sophisticated and adaptive the human brain is. We'll extrapolate the last 3 years of what you've learned about yourself. Extrapolate that to 40 million years. Hopefully that gives you an idea of just how sophisticated our reptile midbrain is. The second aspect of our brain that's really important to understand is the prefrontal and frontal cortex. We could call our forehead. Now, our forehead, this area of our brain, this separates us from primates. This part of our brain is our logic, our executive functioning, our personality, our patience, our presence, our character. This part of our brain is about 4 million years of evolution. So every day, every minute of every hour, we get to battle a 36 million year head start that fear, stress, anxiety, depression, and worry have on our character, our personality, our patience, and our presence. So when we are stressed, we lose aspects of our personality and our character, not because we're weak, not because we're out of control. It's because the brain is wired in a certain way. So the central nervous system has one defined goal and one defined job, and that is self-preservation. Survival is key. Without survival, nothing else really matters. So it just makes sense. Now, your central nervous system is constantly evaluating your situation and your circumstances and your environment every nanosecond, and it's looking for safety and security. That's why we have a level of comfort when we're in our own home, because we know kind of all the nooks and crannies of our home, and we know that we're safe. So the central nervous system is constantly evaluating stuff. Now, you'll notice that when you travel somewhere new, you're more exhausted that night than you normally would be. That's because your central nervous system has to work overtime. It's using all five senses and your intuition, and it's maximizing all of its skills to ensure that you are safe. And it's looking for anchors in familiarity and security. That's why there's no such thing as a second first impression. You will never have a second first impression because your first impression, you fully activated all your senses. Now, we don't think about this. This isn't by design. This is survival 101 and how we're networked. Now, when the central nervous system is in a threat response, either you're in true danger, you're almost in a car accident, or someone's coming at you and they look aggressive, whatever. Or you're thinking about something that creates an anxious attack, like a spider, or you're scared of heights. The central nervous system, for all its amazement, has no filter to determine what's real versus what's perceived. So the central nervous system fires neurons to the amygdala, that almond-shaped piece in our midbrain, and immediately it creates this cascade of events going to the HPA axis, and all these catecholamines and cortisol and adrenaline flood your body. All of your energy goes through your visceral organs, and you prepare to take care of yourself and survive. When this happens, and this is really important, when this happens, all the blood flow, oxygen-rich red blood, leaves your forehead. That's why when we are anxious, it's really difficult for us to talk ourselves out of it. When we are fearful, we can get in this cycle of fear. When we're worrisome, we stay worried. Now, how the brain works and the operational tool, the energy or the food source for your brain is oxygen-rich red blood. So this is resource allocation 101. We have two areas of our brain that are really important. You have the autonomic nervous system of the midbrain, and you have the prefrontal and frontal cortex of our character. And it is a constant battle for resources. Most people live where the amygdala in the midbrain is taking your resources. So it's really important for us to understand this, because then we'll understand, well, why would we have created a technology to help regulate this piece? The second piece that's important for us to understand, and probably a little more challenging than evolutionary neuropsychobiology, and that would be physics and mathematics and brainwave function. So our body and our brain operate and oscillate in a 41 hertz frequency range. And a frequency is a waveform, a high amplitude, low waveform, fast frequency, 41 hertz. And in those 41 hertz, there are 5 categories. Starting at the slowest waveform is delta. Delta is 0.5 hertz to 4 hertz. It is the slowest waveform of everyday function of the human brain. Theta is 4 hertz to 7 hertz. Alpha is 8 hertz to 12 hertz. Beta is the broadest range of 13 hertz to 38 hertz. And gamma is 39 to 41 hertz. So that is the landscape of your behavior every day. And one thing that we like as a neuroscience company about this aspect of the brain is it's math and science. It's math and physics. It's black and white. A lot of things in psychology and behavioral modification and thinking and emotion, they're not black and white. They're gray. This is not black and white. I mean, this is not gray. This is clearly self-evident that when your brain is oscillating at a certain frequency, you are doing a specific thing. So if your brain's oscillating at 1 hertz, your body's in deep, dreamless-like sleep. It's not up for debate. This is a fact. So that's how this works. In theta, T-H-E-T-A, some of you may be aware of theta, and some of you may have never heard of it before. Theta is the dominant form of what's called the parasympathetic nervous system. You have the sympathetic nervous system, which is the stress response, and you have the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest response. And when we activate the vagus nerve and raise the parasympathetic and oxygenate our body, we are in a good place for healing. Theta, T-H-E-T-A, 4 hertz to 7 hertz, is the healing zone for humanity. It is the only time that your cells clean their toxins and your mitochondria, which is the energy source of your cells, is restored. This is the healing zone. And this is why one of the big reasons sleep is so important for all our longevity, our resilience, our lowering inflammation, healing, and recovery. Okay. So theta, Theta. Alpha is synonymous with creativity, being in the zone and being relaxed. And then beta is the alert, biggest range. 13 to 15 hertz is functioning and awake, but not, you're mentally lethargic. 15 to 20 hertz is very unique because 15 to 20 hertz is what's called the learning zone. When your brain is oscillating in the learning zone, 15 to 20 hertz, you are distraction free, your concentration is at its highest, and you're comprehending information. Then we go to a little faster frequency. 20 to 25 hertz is stress, fear, worry, anxiety. 25 to 30 is a higher level of stress, fear, worry, anxiety. And then 30 to 38 hertz, you are losing your marbles. You are in a panic state of fight or flight or freeze. And all of the resources, all your oxygen-rich red blood that separates you from primates, that is your character and your personality and your patience and your presence, is gone. You are cognitively dissociated and you are in pure survival. Then comes this sweet spot, because the brain has all these nuances. They're so sophisticated and so amazing. It just humbles you every time you learn more about the brain. There's a sweet spot. It's the tightest band. It's 39 to 41 hertz. It's called gamma, Gamma. This sweet spot is commensurate with meditation of monks in higher consciousness, but also activates the sensory motor rhythm, the gross motor cortex, which is your energy source and your body's musculoskeletal ability to defend, and your olfactory and your peripheral vision. So that is the sweet spot for mistake-free ultimate peak performance. So that's the realm and the range of how this works. So Dr. Blake Holloway, the brilliant neuroscientist, quantum physicist, naturopath, began his invention quest in 1990. And it took him 19 years to figure out a way to naturally present the brain with a pattern that the brain would naturally follow. That is the genesis of NuCalm. And in 2009, we launched a highly regulated FDA Class 3 medical device, which is the highest regulation the FDA offers, for $6,000 to the medical community. And along that path, we went through regulatory of the FDA, Health Canada, the Chinese national government, the military, and NSS certified for sport. In parallel, enlisted 52 of the world's top doctors, academicians, and scientists to evaluate and objectively, clinically trial and prove and present the research that showcases what we do. So what do we do? What is NuCalm? NuCalm uses a very advanced platform of software. You can't see it and you can't even hear it. This software basically is physics, mathematics, algorithms. We use two ways of entrainment, which is a way to present your brain with a pattern, and it's isochronic and binaural signal processing. So we built a software knowing that if we present the brain with a pattern that's pretty sophisticated, you're going to follow that pattern. And then we layer music on top of the physics. So this is a software bed with music. So what you've been listening to with NuCalm is beautifully architected, composed musical compositions. They are beautiful and they're unique because they are composed in what's called the solfeggio ancient music scale. The solfeggio ancient music scale is commensurate with the golden mean and the mathematics of the universe. And it kind of shifted in the 1930s or 40s. The jury's still out exactly how this all came to be, but at some point we abandoned the solfeggio music scale and moved to the key of A in 440 hertz. So you're listening to music. That's great, and it sounds good. But really what we're doing is we're using it as a carrier to present your midbrain, the caudate nucleus of the brain, with a signal, and then your brain is simply following that signal and we're pacing it. Okay, so that is what we invented. And why did we do this? Well, in the traumatized brain, and Blake had a practice in Texas for 30 plus years, treating traumatized victims coming out of the theater of war and abuse victims. And in trauma, And everybody has trauma. It's just a magnitude of how much, what the frequency was and what the damage was. But every human on earth has some level of trauma, small or big or enormous. But the traumatized brain, truly post-traumatic stress disorder, complex trauma, is a very complex form of high levels of anxiety. And that person has really struggle for the rest of their life. And often they find solace only in drugs and alcohol and escapism. So conventional therapy would dictate that we'd give you a narcotic-based pharmaceutical to mask the symptom and then engage in some kind of cognitive behavioral therapy. Well, the jury is not out on this. We all know that it doesn't work. The suicide rates continue to rise. The number 22 is important in America because 22 soldiers, veterans, take their own life every day. That hasn't changed. In fact, it keeps going up. So that was the reason that Blake created this. And the whole genesis of this was Rescue. Rescue is the key therapeutic neuroacoustic software that we launched in 2009. And Rescue is very powerful. And it's very powerful for a couple reasons. One, it's very complex physics underneath the music that is presenting your brain with a pattern that gently takes you down into alpha and then into theta. And when we can oscillate and hold your brainwave in theta just above deep sleep, your body heals. Remember, theta is the healing zone. So we were doing research with NASA mathematicians and Harvard Medical School statistical biophysicists, and this is back in 2012 and 13. And they came to us and said, hey, did you guys know that 20 minutes of your product is worth 2 hours of restorative sleep? We're like, no, we didn't. They said, well, we have an expertise in sleep. And what you're doing, let me walk you through how and why this is important. In the sleep architecture, we go through a 90-minute or 100-minute sleep cycle. Well, in that sleep cycle, you're in theta, but you're not in there long enough. With NuCalm, we take you to the sweet spot of human healing and we hold you there. So it's a concentrated version of the most restorative aspect of sleep. So Rescue has been the key therapeutic neuroacoustic software since we began this journey. And for 14 years, we've solved a lot of people's problems around stress, anxiety, fear, worry, etc. We work across the gamut of human beings, from monks to punks, to cancer patients, to people with multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's, ALS, addiction, trauma. And then we work with the high-performing professional athletes, pilots, special forces, Navy SEALs, etc. So across the continuum of humanity, a couple of things we've learned. Nobody is managing stress well, not a single person. And we can't judge them for it. We certainly can't be critical of that. Stress never takes a holiday. Stress is there every single day. Every single day we wake up and there's something to stress us out. There's something that makes us feel anxious or overwhelmed or feel like we can't meet expectations. So that piece has been important. And number two, stress impacts your sleep. So we can see through the markets and through the demand and all the tools and things that people are buying, sleep is a paramount, profound problem across the entirety of the human race, 8 billion people, and everybody seems to be having difficulty with sleeping. And the ones who aren't having difficulty sleeping, or they say they're not, are typically taking sleep meds. So obviously they're having difficulty sleeping. What people don't understand is the correlation. Stress management or lack of effective stress management leads to compromised sleep. So that's how all that works. So this technology, which was born out of necessity to bring to the world a way to downregulate the sympathetic tone, put the brakes on the stress response by going right to your midbrain and accessing the amygdala and shutting down the HPA axis, going to the source, because we understand, hey, this is how the brain works, here's how it's wired, and if we intercept here, we win. That's what we did. And then we go in and we just simply take your brainwave down. So let's start with Rescue. I want to walk through kind of all the 6 channels of NuCalm. Rescue is amazing. Rescue will never let you down. And every day of your life that you do it is a day that your life is better. Why? Because it simply goes right into your midbrain and it unplugs you from all fear, stress, anxiety, depression, and worry. All of it. It washes right away. It restores the mitochondria and it oxygenates your body. So you'll notice in Rescue, kind of a cool experience. It's difficult to articulate, but since you've been using NuCalm, you'll understand this. The first 5 to 6 to 7 minutes of a rescue journey, nothing's really happening. It's almost like staging. And you're lying there and you're kind of getting prepared. What's happening for us is that we are seeking permission from your central nervous system to take you on that journey into theta. The central nervous system, remember, is protecting you. Self-preservation is its highest order. Well, it will not allow us to come in and just sabotage you and say, hey, we're taking you to theta, 15 hertz difference from where you're at today. It doesn't work that way. So we take you down and we take you up. We take you down, we take you up. We take you down, we take you up. And then after 8 minutes and some seconds, you'll notice, if you're still lucid, that your body begins to sink into your bed. I mean, literally the force of gravity, 9.2 meters per second squared. You've never really felt the force of gravity until you've completely relinquished all adrenaline. You fall into your bed like someone's pushing you into your bed. Your mind is still wandering, but you'll also notice that your respiration slows down. Now, the ultimate diaphragmatic breathing for a human being is 1 breath every 10 seconds, 6 breaths a minute. Now, interestingly enough, 6 breaths a minute or 1 breath every 10 seconds is the cadence or frequency of waves crashing. It's amazing, all the symmetry and coincidence. It's not coincidence. The whole world is mapped through mathematics and geometry. So you go down into this state, and then we take you to this lucid dream state. You'll notice you can't stay focused on a thought. That's by design. The physics is so profound, and the brain is so amazing. The brain is constantly evaluating, what pattern is this? I want to figure this pattern out so I can create a shortcut. It's called the reticular activating system of the brain. It's the most powerful filtration system in the world. And it is key and the best at pattern recognition and finding shortcuts. So some of you may think, well, how's NuCalm different? I never heard of it, and it seems expensive and maybe complicated. It's none of those. You never heard of us because for 32 years, we were like Willy Wonka's neuroscience company trying to figure out how to map the entirety of the human brainwave function. Number two, it used to be a $6,000 class 3 FDA regulated medical device until a couple of years ago. So when you talk about a subscription model versus that, it's not expensive. But how's it different? Well, it's different because of a nonlinear oscillating algorithm in the physics platform. So Blake was not an audiophile. It's not like he was a guy who said, hey, binaural beat is cool. Let me build an app for binaural beat. It had nothing to do with that. It was, how is the brain going to react when I do something to the brain? And so you have to go through so many layers of compensation, understanding what the brain is going to do when you do this. So I do something to A, it's going to do B. Then I have to do C, and then it's going to do D. It's a nonlinear oscillating algorithm that does two things. One, you will never build resistance to NuCalm. It'll work today the same way it's going to work 25 years from now. Number two, it occupies the entirety of your brain's reticular activating system trying to figure this out. So the first 8 minutes or so of rescue, we're preparing you. We call it the departure lounge, and then we take you into deep theta. And you'll notice you can be in there for, it varies. Sometimes you're in there for 31 minutes. Sometimes you're in there for 42 minutes. Sometimes 58 minutes. Sometimes 27 minutes. Why does it vary? It's got nothing to do with the physics. The physics is always the same. It's got everything to do with you. So your nutrition, your metabolic processes, your stress, your cortisol, your sleep pattern, whatever. You are different all the time. So your difference in your stress response directly correlates to the amount of time you're going to be in rescue. We built 6 different journeys in rescue for time signatures, 30, 40, 50, 70, 100, 120. Why did we build 120? Well, we've been working with stage 4 cancer since October of 2014, and we find that to be one of the most challenging profiles of stress. When you're diagnosed with a terminal illness, the fear consumes you so quickly and so profoundly, it never lets its grip go. You're constantly in a state of cortisol and adrenaline and catecholamines and anxiety and feeling overwhelmed. It compromises your sleep and it accelerates the end of your life. So we built that to say, hey, we have a tool here that's going to give you peace of mind. It's going to restore you, put you in a state of lower inflammation, increase your resilience, put your body's immune system in a place where you can fight and give you restorative sleep where you can heal. So that's the 120 and the 100. You can do the 120 and the 100. In fact, the 120 is one of the strongest tracks we've ever created. And you don't have to be fearful that you're going to be in there for 2 hours. You will not be in NuCalm for 2 hours. When your body is at enough recovery, you kind of just come to and become self-aware of your surroundings. And then you know I've had enough recovery. That's it. So that's rescue. Rescue, we would recommend to every human on earth that you do this every single day. When should you do this? Well, from when you wake up to about 3 hours before bedtime. Why 3 hours before bedtime? Remember the research in 2012 with Harvard and NASA. 20 minutes of NuCalm gives you 2 hours of restorative sleep. You would never take a power nap before the onset of bed. So what would happen is if you were to do a 40-minute NuCalm, which is equivalent to 4 hours of sleep at 8 o'clock at night, you're not falling asleep at your normal bedtime. So any other time during the day is great for rescue. Ideally, between 12 and 4 or 12 and 5 is perfect because your body naturally wants to take a break. You mentally have a little lull, physically you have a little lull. And instead, in America, we typically drink an espresso or Red Bull and just push through. Well, if you listen to your body, that's the best time to do rescue. Let's move to power nap. Power nap uses the same physics platform as rescue, where we take you down, we take you up, we take you down, take you up, where the outcome ends up being 4 hertz and the deepest form of healing in theta. But we did this and built this for the human being today who seems to be too busy to take care of themselves. Now, I think we'd all agree that 1/48th of the day is not too much for a human to take care of themselves. But if you ask someone, hey, do you have 30 minutes to take care of yourself? They panic. So we built that literally because of behavioral modification, the ability for humans to create a habit and not an obstacle for us to take care of ourselves. So power nap is the same physics platform as rescue, but it is a faster acting experience. So I liken power nap to a concentrated glass of orange juice, whereas rescue is fresh squeeze. Now, personally, I would like fresh squeeze because I like the most out of my time commitment as possible. But in the event that you don't have 30 minutes, you literally don't have 30 minutes, but you have 20 minutes, get in a nice, comfortable place, put a headphone on, put your eye mask on, 20-minute power nap, and you're up. So that has been one of our most popular journeys because of the time commitment and the power of it. When you get out of power nap, you're going to feel refreshed, restored, rejuvenated, but you also have a little extra giddy up in your step. So that's power nap. Flow state is the third in the category of recovery. And flow state's unique because we don't take you all the way down to the deepest forms of theta. So you could argue that it's not as healing and recovery oriented as rescue and power nap, and you'd be correct. Flow state stops at the intersection between alpha and theta. It's called the Schumann Resonance, which is the Earth's magnetic rotation. So for those of you who are familiar with grounding and people say, hey, take your socks and shoes off and step on the earth with bare feet for 30 minutes. What they're doing is they're asking you to stand on the earth to pick up the Earth's magnetic rotation, which is the Schumann resonance of 7.83 hertz. Now, not by coincidence, the Earth's magnetic rotation is the same mathematical frequency as the human body's resonance. Our body resonates at 7.83 hertz. So flow state takes you down to a relaxed state and holds you in the intersection between alpha and theta at the Earth's magnetic rotation. This is a nice door opening to your subconscious, your creativity, and your inspiration. So for those of you who want to feel relaxed, don't you kind of want to stop with the mental negative energy, or you're tired of being procrastinating, or whatever it is, you got a block, a writer's block. Go into flow state and it will liberate all of that. It will oxygenate, do the same aspect of rescue. It won't be as deep on the recovery, but it'll be a nice access point to your subconscious. So those are the three that are focused around the original therapeutic NuCalm technology designed to take you into alpha and theta. Now let's flip the switch to the more active frequencies and more active channels. Ignite was born out of request. It really wasn't in our design to accelerate your brainwave function and put you in a state of peak performance. That wasn't by design. But in 2016, a Premier League soccer club who had been using NuCalm effectively said, hey, Mr. Poole, our players love rescue. They love the recovery. They love the mental acuity. They love the physical recovery, lowering inflammation, lowering lactic acid, the jet lag management, the ability to recover faster, heal faster, et cetera. We love it. But can you make us something that gets them excited to get on the pitch? Well, Blake was an amazing neuroscientist and pretty much we felt could do anything. So we asked him, and within about 6 months, we got what we asked for. Ignite is the antithesis of relaxation and recovery. It starts at 15 hertz, which is alert, and it oscillates up like a tuning fork up to 39, 40 hertz, 41 hertz. The last 3 minutes of Ignite is what we would call pure warrior brain. You are fully active, mental, emotional, physical, high peak performance. Everything is on guard, and you are ready to perform with absolute certainty in an unstoppable mental attitude where you're going to do anything and everything that you want to do in that state. It is powerful. It's one of those where it seems magical, because how can listening to something literally change your state right there in your face? Well, it does, and it does it every time. Ignite, for all its amazement, can get to be too much, and it's really up to you at that time. So we just caution people, listen to Ignite with headphones. You can do anything you want. You can walk around the block, you can run with your dog, you can do a pre-workout during a workout, pre-mission planning during a mission, whatever, it doesn't matter. You can literally do things in earbuds or headphone and ignite. Now, in the Ignite, you will notice that there are 2 journeys with Tony Robbins talking over the journeys. In 2017, Tony and I trained the Washington Capitals, the NHL hockey team. And after the training, we took the 2 hours, we dissected like 140,000 syllables, and we put it all back together on top of our physics with a soundtrack. So arguably, you could say it's some of the strongest mind control ever. Well, it's very, very intense and very cool and very action-oriented. Excuse me. The second one with Tony is called Gratitude. So we had such success the first time, the Washington Capitals ended up winning their first Stanley Cup, that we trained the Golden State Warriors for 5 hours in a hotel room in Oakland. We built gratitude with that. Now, a lot of people use that for morning priming. And then there are 3 instrumental Ignite tracks. So Ignite is during activity, doing something you want to do, or doing something you don't want to do, preparing for a meeting, walking through the streets of New York City. It doesn't matter. You want energy, you want a healthy energy boost, you put headphones on or in-ear, select your journey, off you go. Stop listening to it if you start feeling like you're over-caffeinated and agitated. The next one is focus. Now, focus is going to turn out to be one of the best inventions for us in our history as we reflect on what's happening in the world. People have difficulty focusing. People have difficulty kind of interrupting the chaos in their brain and what's happening between their ears. People have difficulty managing pings of anxiety or stress or fear, worry, expectation, overwhelm, etc. People also don't understand learning, and they don't understand that all learning is state dependent, not the state you're living in, the mental state you're oscillating in. State dependent means that the human brain is optimized for clarity, concentration, comprehension, encoding new information and consolidating to memory in a certain frequency range. That's the beauty of this physics platform. Between 15 and 20 hertz, you're going to learn. If you're lower than 15 hertz, you're going to be too mentally lethargic to retain anything. And if you're above 20 hertz, you're going to be too anxious to learn anything. But we don't understand this. So how many hours do you think a human being over their lifetime wastes trying to learn something when they're not in a state to learn? If you're anxious, fearful, feel isolated, depressed, mentally lethargic, lonely, scared, confused, you're not learning. You can read something 1,000 times. It's never encoding and never consolidating to memory. It doesn't work that way. There's a certain frequency for learning, and that's it. Today, with school and technology and our food supply being, metabolic acidosis and excitatory neurotransmitters and 5G and environmental toxins, there's a million reasons why we're having difficulty focusing. Well, not with Focus. We launched Focus in July of 2022. It completed 32 years of scientific discovery and invention, and it completed us mapping the entirety of the human brainwave function. Focus is amazing, and it's one of those few pieces. I think deep sleep and focus are 2 of the ones that just seems like pure magic. You put headphone on, and if you're even thinking through this, and you may not even, within less than a minute, there's no noise in your head. You're completely tuned in like a one-track mind, and you are laser focused on what you're focused on. It's absolutely amazing. So you will be able to have a significantly higher level of mental efficiency. You will get a lot more done in less time, and you'll do it well. So focus is becoming a really powerful tool. I think a lot of people in the arts, musicians and authors, they're constantly reaching out to us saying, this is insane. I'm so efficient. I don't have writer's block. I'm enthused. I'm inspired, and I'm getting so much done. But I think all of us have difficulty focusing, and focus is amazing. You can use it with headphones, and you can use it ambiently. Why do we say that? Well, after some point of listening to anything with headphones, your ears may get warm and tired of having something on them, or the top of your cranium might feel a little bit raw. We did something unique that you'll never really understand anyway. But there are 2 ways to present the brain with a pattern to basically guide it. And it's called isochronic waveform and binaural signal processing. So we built every single journey in every single channel to have both. What does that mean? That means you have a continuum of strength with anything that we put out there. So the continuum of strength starts with ambient. So if you play focus ambiently in your office, you're going to have a focus outcome. But when you put headphones on and your brain has no escape path, it's a lot more intense. And this is true for all of them. So focus is going to really help you throughout the day. I've also used it lately. We've been doing a lot of driving. My children go to school in Florida. I live in Delaware. And so when I'm starting to mentally be lethargic at the wheel, I'll put focus on and over the speakers in the car, and I'm zoned in. I mean, it's amazing. It'll be amazing for us to get this to truck drivers because it's safe, it's effective, it doesn't wear off, and you can't do any harm. You're literally in a 15, 20 hertz zone as long as you want to be. The last channel is deep sleep. Deep sleep is the most sophisticated physics we've ever invented. It took us the longest amount of time. It took us 9 years to invent deep sleep. And the reason is we didn't want you to have to go to bed with a headphone or in-ear buds. It doesn't make sense. You're not going to be comfortable. Comfort's part of sleep efficiency and sleep success. So we built this and we launched this in November of 2021. I don't remember the specific day, but it might have been like day 7. By day 7, it was the most popular journey in the world, across the world. Deep sleep today, 6 of the top 7 NuCalm journeys are deep sleep. We have 3 8-hour deep sleep journeys and we have 3 50-minute deep sleep journeys. We probably wouldn't even keep the 50-minute deep sleep journeys on, but people are creatures of habit and they like it. We launched deep sleep with 3 50-minute journeys. Soon we realized that, your brain never, ever stops taking care of you. Even when you're sleeping, your central nervous system is aware of your environment. What does that mean? That means you listen to deep sleep for 50 minutes. It takes your brain down to 0.5 hertz, the deepest levels of sleep. It puts you to sleep. It's amazing. You're going to love it. But when the track stopped, when the journey at 50 minutes ended, your central nervous system said, wait a second, there was music happening and now it's quiet and it wakes you up. So taking that insight, we built 8-hour journeys and launched them in January of last year. So the 8-hour journeys are 50 minutes of physics designed to put you into delta. And then the rest of the 7 hours and 10 minutes of that journey is designed to fill in the sleep gaps for your sleep. So if you use any type of sleep diagnostic like Aura or Fitbit or Apple Watch or whatever, there's a myriad of those tools out there. You're going to notice a couple things. When you do rescue during the day and deep sleep at night, which is the proven therapeutic kind of recipe for improving your sleep, you're going to notice a dramatic improvement in your REM. You're going to notice a dramatic improvement in your deep sleep. You're going to notice a faster sleep latency, so you're staying awake less. And you'll notice the quality of your sleep is significantly higher. When you wake up to go to the restroom in the middle of the night, you will not lie back in bed perseverating over stupid stuff you can't solve in the middle of the night by yourself. You're going to fall right back to sleep. So deep sleep has been just a godsend for most of the people that use NuCalm. Our NuCalmers love deep sleep and is by far the most popular. That shouldn't surprise anybody. Like we said, everybody we know and everybody we've met and everybody we've helped is having sleep issues. So deep sleep is our most sophisticated and easiest to use. There are the 6 channels of NuCalm. We've effectively, beginning in 2016, spent years and millions of dollars to transition from a highly regulated, highly complicated 4-component, $6,000 FDA Class 3 medical device to a mobile device, and then launch 3 new products. So we have the entirety of the brainwave function and the power of your brain in the palm of your hand through a mobile app. Now, as sophisticated and amazing as the science is, and you will never find a product like this. For 33 years, we've been pioneering and advancing neuroscience to the capability that no one else has ever seen before. This is validated by the only patents in the world for the method used to create the software and NuCalm's ability to balance the human autonomic nervous system. We have the only patent in the world for lowering stress and improving sleep without drugs. That took us 5 years to get, and you don't get something like that without tremendous amount of quantified, irrefutable evidence. And our evidence happened to be studying stage 4 cancer and the Chicago Blackhawks. So you're in really good hands on the science side, but what gets us very excited about what we're doing is that we've made it easy. So for 14 years, we've been able to see the usage of all these different groups. And we can tell you today who's going to use NuCalm more than once a day. And this is true for 14 years. If you have cancer, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's, ALS, maybe rheumatoid arthritis, PTSD, trauma, addiction, you're using our product once, twice, 3 times a day and deep sleep every night. If you're a professional athlete and your currency is your body and your mind's ability to perform at a very high level under stressful conditions, you're using our product a couple times a day and deep sleep at night. This has been happening since 2011. If you're a high-performing military operator, it takes $6 million investment to bring a special forces operator to the field. You are going to use our product every day because there's a ritualistic nature to it, but also when we can manage your stress and put you in a state of mental acuity where you have access to your training and not be sabotaged by fear or confusion or pain, you're going to win and you're going to save your life and maybe your colleague's life. If you're a pilot, you're using our product every day. So pilots, people with disease, the military, professional athletes have been using our product since they got involved with the NuCalm family every single day for years. The general consumer will find reasons not to take care of themselves. It's really an irony that's just unfortunate. Any kind of habit interruption, any type of trip, or you got sick, or this and that, whatever. It's crazy. We had to make this easy. This was exclusively available to a finite group of people because of the price at $6,000 and the complication of being a medical device. But our goal has been to liberate humans from stress in a manner that's drug-free, and we've done that. So building this in a place that's really easy for people to understand and to use has been our challenge, and we've succeeded in this challenge. So when we were a $6,000 medical device from 2009 to 2021, we had just under about 10,000 customers. It's not a lot, but paying $6,000 for multiple systems, it was a healthy business. Then we shifted to the consumer product and we've welcomed 100,000 new customers to the platform in the last several years. We have lowered the price, we've made it easier, and this literally is your chance to get away from things like caffeine in the afternoon or a Red Bull or Monster Energy, which isn't good for you. Alcohol, if you want to avoid drinking alcohol, antidepressants and anti-anxiety. All these medications used to change your mental state can now be replaced by physics in a safe, efficacious manner. Anti-anxiety, antidepressant, they're not solving the problem. You see, the autonomic nervous system is what governs fear, stress, anxiety, depression, and worry. But the pills that you get from a doctor is a central nervous system suppressant. Let that sink in for a second. So if the problem is an autonomic nervous system problem, but the solution you're giving to me is a central nervous system solution, that equation doesn't equal. You're right, it doesn't work. What it's doing is it's masking the symptoms, it's dulling your brain, but it's not helping you. In fact, you could venture a guess to say it's hurting you because the brain's compensatory mechanism will create side effects. So it's a cascade of negative consequences. So for parents out there, please, I caution you to think through if your child's having issues with anxiety or fear, isolation, depression, and they're, 16, 17, 18, 19, their brain hasn't even fully developed yet. So giving them a pharmaceutical intervention is a challenge that's going to create side effects and negative consequences moving forward. So there are other ways besides NuCalm, whether it's yoga, Tai Chi, deep breathing, meditation, etc. Anything in the mindful category will do the redistribution of oxygen-rich red blood from your reptile brain to your forehead. So if you feed your forehead oxygen-rich red blood, you win. And you can overcome anxiety and fear and stress and worry. So with that being said, welcome to the NuCalm family. There's a background on NuCalm 101, how the brain works, and then how we have created technology that helps you manage the brain without drugs. So Amy, I know that we have some questions.
We do. I'm going to start with some of our pre-submitted questions. One is, there are some channels that use headphones and eye mask and some that don't. Could you just briefly review those? Because we've had some questions about that.
I can. So Rescue, it's our strongest recovery therapy, autonomic nervous system balance, resiliency, lowering inflammation. That is the healing tool. It is the most powerful recovery tool on earth. It requires an eye mask because we're visually stimulated by light. So you don't sleep with your eyes open. You don't meditate with your eyes open. We have so much information that comes into our visual cortex. We have to mitigate that. So rescue, power nap, and flow state is what we'd all call an immersive experience. There's not a lot of work to be done, but it's immersive, meaning we want you to find a safe, comfortable place so you can relax. We want you to put an eye mask on, a headphone, and we want you to just go into that state of deep healing. The others don't require that because we're not taking you down and holding you in this healing state. Focus, we're taking you up or taking you down, but we're holding you in this zone where you're alert and you're functioning. Ignite, we're taking you all the way up to the highest form and the highest frequency of the brainwave function. And we're saying, hey, we're going to fully activate you. This is going to be a short burst of energy. It's going to last a couple hours of mental acuity. And then deep sleep doesn't even require a speaker because we use a specific waveform called isochronic waveform to present your brain with a pattern. So 3 of the channels are built around recovery, restoration, cellular restoration. They require an immersive experience of an eye mask, lying down, safe and comfortable, headphone, and off you go. 2 of them are actionable: focus and ignite, just a headphone or in-ear, and deep sleep just requires a speaker. But again, I'll reiterate, the physics platform that we use is very sophisticated. And in that platform, we use 2 ways to entrain or present the brain with a pattern that it's going to follow: isochronic waveform and binaural signal processing. So there's a continuum of strength for all 6 of our channels. With ambient waveform, you will have some impact, but with headphones on, you will have maximum efficacy of everything we do because it's a closed loop. Your brain is not escaping, and all the information, all the 1.5 gigabytes of mathematics that are underneath that music is going and processing into your brain.
Okay, I don't see any questions in the chat, so I'm going to have another, I'm going to pose another pre-submitted question. We have several. What is the difference between NuCalm and binaural beats or calming meditation apps or things of that nature?
Off the cuff, I'd say science versus marketing. Follow the science. I'd ask you just to apply some logic. And we hear that question a lot. How are you different than a 99-cent app? Well, let's apply logic. Let's start with that. How would we be a $6,000 regulated FDA Class 3 medical device? And how would we be different than an app? It doesn't make any sense. I can tell you one thing. The strength of rescue is so profound, it boggles people's minds. We've done over 2 million surgical procedures replacing general anesthesia with people listening to our physics for surgery. That I would not try with Calm or Headspace or Brain Tap or Brain FM. Now, scientifically, how are we different? Binaural beat is a way to present your brain with a pattern. Okay, great. So is isochronic waveform. But what you're presenting to the brain is the key differentiator. If you're not presenting a sophisticated algorithm that will perpetually trick the reticular activating system, it's over. So I can get a binaural beat app and it might say focus, and probably don't even have it right. It probably says 12 hertz for focus, which isn't focus. Focus is 18.4 hertz. But say, for example, it says focus 12 hertz, and I get it, and I listen to it. The first time I listen to it, it works. It takes me to where it's supposed to take me. Second time I listen to it, it works as well. It takes me where it's supposed to take me. Third time I listen to it, my brain doesn't respond at all because the reticular activating system has found out the pattern and says, no, we've already been there, done that. We find a shortcut. The key in how we're so differentiated and why it took 30 years to figure this out is the nonlinear oscillating algorithm. So it's a constant dynamic motion. It never stops and you can never figure out the pattern, but it consumes all your brain's energy trying to figure out the pattern. So that would be the significant differentiator of why we're different. There's a lot of other reasons, but that's the biggest obvious one.
Okay, great. I'm going to keep going through my pre-submitted questions. Could you talk a little bit about the difference between rescue and flow state?
I can. Rescue is designed for recovery. So most of us live with our foot on the accelerator. High stress, poor sleep, high stress, poor sleep, high stress, poor sleep. And it's okay. It serves us pretty well until we're in our 30s. Then we turn our 40s and we start noticing that it's compromising our sleep. Okay. Because the human body will break down over time. Now, the value of sleep is that you suspend your sleep architecture in theta, and the more we're in theta in our sleep architecture, the healthier we restore. Well, over time, we don't do that. Rescue is designed to hold you in the healing state and give you the benefit of 2 hours of restorative sleep in just 20 minutes. But you'll notice there is no 20-minute rescue journey. It's 30 minutes or more. So you're getting at least 3 hours of restorative sleep, the deepest, best part of sleep. Not sleep as in the whole architecture of a 90-minute sleep cycle. You're getting the best sleep has to offer. So rescue is designed for recovery, for oxygenation, for mitochondrial restoration, for healing, longevity, resilience, and lowering inflammation. It is the healing state. Flow state is not designed for that. Flow state is designed for a calm, relaxed journey into creativity. We do not take you into theta. We stop at the Schumann Resonance of 7.83 hertz. So we take you to the lowest end of alpha. That's the difference. So if you're pushing hard, if you're tired of waking up feeling groggy, or tired of waking up exhausted, or tired of waking up, can't wait to get back to bed, and you just woke up 5 minutes ago, get on rescue every single day, use deep sleep each night. Within a few days, and certainly a week, we will have reversed that cycle and restored you. Flow state is for those of you, hey, I'm writing a book, I'm doing a project, I'm writing music, I'm doing something creative. The creative mind is as sabotage as the non-creative mind. Okay, so the right brain and the left brain, it's all deals with the same kind of triggers of fear and stress and anxiety and depression and worry. So when you use flow state, you're clearing out the deck, clearing out the noise, and giving yourself opportunity to access your subconscious and creativity.
Okay, I'm going to keep going. The new release channel that's on the top of the screen talks about how the flow state journey has the 7 chakras included. How is that journey specific or different to the other flow state journeys, and are the 7 chakras anywhere else?
How would we have done that, and what are we even doing? That is so amazing that we pulled that off. So about 4 years ago, we began a couple-year invention journey on taking the solfeggio frequencies of the 7 chakras of the human body, starting at the root chakra, which is the sacrum. It's a frequency, it's 396 hertz. So like a tuning fork, we added in the frequencies in the solfeggio scale of the 7 chakras, and we do it in 2 to 3 minute increments. So you'll notice in that flow state, which is 23 minutes and 32 seconds, right? It's art and design. It's not specific. We couldn't force it into a certain time frame, but there's little vignettes. Each vignette is a different chakra. So we start at 396 root chakra, and then we go all the way up to the crown chakra at 963. Okay, pretty amazing. So while you're in flow state, oscillating on the master oscillatory matrix of 7.83 hertz, where we're grounding you, relaxing you, and accessing your creativity, we are also using a vibratory frequency to balance your 7 chakras. It's absolutely fascinating, and you can feel it. So interestingly enough, we launched our first one early last year. It was Rescue 30. Then we pulled it off again, and we did Power Nap at the end of last year, and we just launched Flow State. Once we create the capability, even if it takes us 2 or 3 years, once we create that capability, then we're like, okay, where else can we deploy this? What we learned is that not by virtue of education and telling people to use it, people just naturally gravitated to it. That first rescue that we built, Rescue 30 with the 7 chakras, people loved. It's like their go-to, and it still is one of the top ranking channels out there and journeys. Once we created that, it's like, okay, this is amazing. So about 2 months ago, I get a random text from a professional hockey player, and it just makes me chuckle. He says, Jim, I can feel my root chakra kind of getting into balance within seconds of turning on the new flow state. Has other people reported this? And I laughed because I was like, listen, before you even got introduced to NuCalm, you probably couldn't even spell chakra. And now you're texting me, telling me that you can feel this. So it is amazingly powerful. People don't understand what they can't see. People don't understand what they can't hear, feel, touch, or smell. Frequency, vibration, and resonance is how the earth moves. This is all real. It happens all the time. We are a dynamic entity. We are constantly in a vibrational pattern. We are never the same 1 second to the next second. Haven't you noticed that when you see pictures of yourself or pictures of your loved ones, you never look the same in the pictures? Because we're vibrational entities. Well, vibration consumes all parts of our body and all parts of our life. These 7 chakras have a vibration. So all we do is get you into tune. It's a very powerful experience, and it's very kind of visceral. You know something's happening. And interestingly enough, there may be episodes in NuCalm where you feel out of balance because your chakra is out of balance, and it won't last. When you get to the next chakra, chances are it's more in balance. It's pretty wild. So literally, as we're tuning you up through the 7 chakras, there might be a chakra, might be your heart chakra, might be your throat chakra that's out of balance. Don't be alarmed. Just get through it, and we'll balance you and move on to the next chakra.
So I just received a direct question about what is the recommended volume level for when you're listening to headphones or a speaker with any of the channels?
Whatever's comfortable for you. Again, we don't understand what we don't understand. This isn't about volume. You don't really even need to hear NuCalm. This is about oscillations, resonance, vibration, and biomodulation. We need headphones to present an oscillating tuning fork to your brain. It's not about the volume. So don't overdo the volume. I played in a rock band for 17 years. My hearing isn't that good. Okay, if you come to my house at night, you'll hear a rainstorm from all over the rooms. It's in my room and it's right next to my head. So I actually listen to it relatively loud, but it does not have to be loud at all. In fact, if you are deaf, NuCalm still works because it is about vibration and resonance, not about volume. So comfort.
So I know it's the top of the hour. I did get one more question that I think is important to address. Can you talk a little bit about the NuCalm BioSignal processing discs and why you would potentially add that and to which particular channels?
Wow. Okay. So that's a good question for no time left. All right. BioSignal processing disk. The BioSignal processing disk represents the biochemical aspect of NuCalm. When we first launched in 2009, we had a complicated version of the biochemistry, but essentially what we want to do is present your brain with a supersaturation of GABA A and GABA B. So gamma aminobutyric acid, A and B, are the body's primary inhibitory neurotransmitters. Now, the body and the brain is a perfectly architected closed loop system. Beautiful, perfect, and in balance. It's our monkey mind that dominates our body's ability to heal us. Well, your body has action and reaction. So you have adrenaline, which all of us understand because we can feel it. What we don't understand is GABA. GABA is the body's primary brakes to adrenaline. So in the therapeutic milieu of a surgical intervention, so you're going in for surgery, what do we want NuCalm to do? We want it to act fast, put you in a state of relaxation very quickly, put you deep so that in that state, you don't come up and have an anxious response. And we want it long lasting. So NuCalm in the Class 3 medical device used to be biochemistry and electromessaging. The biochemistry used to have a transcranial direct current stimulation device and neuro patches and chewable tablets. Then we moved to a cream. And then in 2019, we launched the BioSignal processing disc, which is a significant advancement using electromedicine from a BioSignal processing disc that literally looks like a sticker, but it's far from a sticker. It's a 6-layer multi-wave oscillator. What does that mean? It's like a semiconductor. It holds energy. This was invented by George Zukoski in the 1930s in New York. So what we did was we found the discrete frequencies of GABA, and we imprint them inside a Tesla coil on top of that oscillator. It holds a message for your brain, and it presents your brain with GABA. And what GABA does is it interrupts the HPA axis and shuts down your ability to create adrenaline. So today, we did NuCalm 1.0 from 2009 to 16, NuCalm 2.0, 2016 to 2020. NuCalm 3.0 today is significantly stronger than any neuroacoustic software and electrical messaging on Earth. It negated the need for the biochemistry. Also, in 2021, we became a consumer-focused product. We're no longer focused solely on the military, pilots, professional athletes, and surgical interventions. So we don't need this sledgehammer of fast acting. However, if you're in disease, if your sleep architecture is so bad and you're just struggling, if you want to add value, clinical strength to your NuCalm experience around rescue, power nap, or flow state, please experiment with the discs. They're very powerful. They are very powerful and very sophisticated. In the bag that they come in, they are very protected. That Faraday cage keeps them inert and protected. And they can be in there for a decade. When you take them out, do not place them onto an iPhone or laptop because the EMFs from that device will erase the frequencies. Other than that, they're amazing. They're one-time use only, and explore it. They are amazing and they are powerful.
Okay, I think we went a little bit over. I am going to end the meeting. I did put in the chat to please reach out to support@nucalm.com if you have any other questions. We are happy to answer any that you may have. So thank you for coming. Thank you, Jim.
I will end with this simple little story. We love what we do. We work really hard to create solutions that are effective, that are safe and easy to use. Today, we're tracking about 1,200,000 minutes of NuCalm around the world. How exciting is that? Around the world, over 100 countries, NuCalm is used. At the end of August, we're tracking at surpassing the 1 billion minute mark of NuCalm. 1 billion minutes. Now, I remember as a kid, you'd see, McDonald's 20 million served, 30 million served, and then it got up to a billion. They stopped because it gets crazy. Well, for me, I don't understand what a billion means, but I love to tell stories and I love data. So you guys ready to hear what a billion is? A billion minutes. Here we go. If you were to start NuCalm right now, get off this call and get in your bed and get on rescue right now, you wouldn't finish until the year 3,926. Or if you want to reverse it, you would have had to start NuCalm to get out of it right now in the year 120 AD. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a billion minutes. That's what we've done, changing the lives of people around the world every minute. We love what we do, and welcome to the family. Enjoy NuCalm. Take care of yourselves and be well.